こんばんは。フォレックス TV ニューヨークのレミです。2月14日木曜日の為替レポートニューヨークレビューをお伝えします。14日のアメリカ株式相場は大幅に続落しました。ダウ工業株30週平均は前日比175ドル26セント安の 12,376 ドル98セントで終えた。ナスダック総合株価指数は前日比 41.39 ポイント安の 2332.54 で終えた。バーナンキ FRB 議長の議会証言を受け円買いドル売りが優勢となりました。バーナンキがアメリカ経済が鈍化する見通しを示したことも嫌気されました。ニューヨーク外国為替市場で円相場は反発しました。ドル円は前日比45銭円高ドル安の107円80銭から90銭で取引を終えた。またユーロ円は前日比5銭円安ユーロ高の157円85銭から95銭で取引を終えた。ユーロは対ドルで反発しました。ユーロは 1.45 ドル台後半から 1.46 ドル台前半に上昇しました。それでは FX ソリューションズのジョーセフ・トゥレベサーニーさんとのインタビューをご覧ください。So let's start out with a look at the U.S. dollar today. Earlier in the session, we saw the dollar gain on the heels of the U.S. trade deficit data as well as the decline in jobless claims in the latest week. But following Bernanke and also Paulson's testimony before the Senate Banking Committee, we saw equities pull off and also dollar-yen decline. So going forward, ahead of the three-day holiday weekend here in the U.S., if you could briefly tell us about the key drivers for the U.S. dollar.
Well, there were probably two things today. I mean, the American statistics are not justifying either side of the equation. They're not justifying a rapid decline or even a building a slowdown, and they're not justifying a recovery. So you get a bounce, especially from the figures today, which are better than expected, but it never sustains itself because it doesn't really prove the case. Mr. Bernanke, Mr. Cox, I think, from the SEC, and Hank Paulson all looked pretty grim today. There weren't many smiles there. And more than anything they said, perhaps it was their demeanor that gave the market some jitters. I mean, you would think, I think it was expected that you'd get a stronger buildup for the American economy running into quarters 3 and 4, and you didn't really get that. In addition, you had Mr. Trichet out there today saying for the ECB, along with Alex Weber, that more or less what they said was, well, whatever we said last Thursday, we didn't really mean it. And they said that, interestingly, that inflation is a monetary phenomenon, quoting Milton Friedman. I almost said Milton Berle, but Milton Friedman. And these are not the things that a banker who is contemplating cutting rates would say. So that also bolstered the euro.
Okay, while we're talking about the euro and also commentary out from the ECB, let's take a look ahead at the upcoming central bank meetings. February is a short month, so in the beginning of March we have both the BOE, ECB, and also the FOMC. So at this point in time, if you could briefly tell us about your expectations for the rate outlook for the ECB as well as BOE.
Sure. Yeah, I think we're probably going to see more of the same. The Fed, I think, will cut. I think they may cut a quarter. I'd say it's 50-50 between a quarter and a half, but I think they will. The BOE, it's a little, I actually think they're not going to cut this time. The ECB is definitely not going to cut. I would be very surprised if they did anything. I mean, they did modify certainly their supposed bias at the last week, but then again, they're out there taking it back this week. None of that tells me that they're getting ready to cut. And in addition, none of the statistics from the ECB, from the EMU, really support the case so far for a slowdown of enough magnitude to prompt them to cut rates.
So, Joseph, how does this translate into your forecast for the euro as well as the sterling against the U.S. currency?
It's a very apt question on your part. I still think that there are two ways of putting it. I mean, you can look for movement on either side, on the euro side or the dollar side. There seems to be less chance, at least less visible chance, that you will get a decline in the Euroland economy to sub 1%. That does not seem to be in the cards right now, at least from the statistics we're looking at. However, the other side of that, of course, is if the American economy does recover substantially or does not decline as much as has been predicted, you will still get the same type of movement up in the dollar and down in the euro, and that's still what I expect.
以上 FX ソリューションズのジョセフ・テレベサーニさんとのインタビューでした。 ForexTV ニューヨークのレミがお伝えしました。最新の為替情報については ForexTV ジャパンをご覧ください。